You are Nyx, a starcatcher in training whose job it is to bring about night by catching stars as quickly as you can. Combining simple screen tap game mechanics with attractive light and landscape makes this a casual, family friendly game that is both relaxing and exciting to play. This game is the final project submitted for the CS50G Introduction to Game Development course that was offered as OpenCourseWare by edX and HarvardX. The current state of this game involved over 200 hours of development time and 4,700 lines of custom code, as well as numerous custom game assets. There are level-specific and game-specific goals in this game. Each level, your goal is to gather enough stars within the allotted amount of time to surpass a certain marker, the half moon marker, and unlock the next level. At a larger game level, part of the goal is, of course, to complete all the levels, but also as you gather stars cumulatively over time by playing multiple levels, you can unlock power-ups, and these will enhance the abilities of Nyx, the in-game avatar, and allow you to complete more challenging levels more easily. There's also a story element to this game, the idea that night won't happen by itself, but instead that you are bringing about night by catching stars. You are the Starcatcher, or at least a Starcatcher in training, and you're doing this to prove yourself worthy and to please your mother, who is the moon. This game evolved over time. The initial concept, what I was calling Dusk Run, was a game involving a horse. Unfortunately, the main problem I ran into there is that horses are just very difficult to use as avatars for a jumping-based game because the way that they actually jump involves kind of two stages and they have a very elongated body. My next concept was to use a humanoid kind of avatar and to use a 3D environment to create a sort of 2.5D game. Here I was going for more realism and the idea that night was kind of the central character. The 3D kind of elements were more or less unnecessary. I could achieve what I wanted to in a true 2D environment using parallax scrolling, and that by bringing it actually back to a more slightly cartoon-like representation, I would find myself more safely on the other side of the uncanny valley. And so finally that third evolution was the Starcatcher Nyx concept. And in order to pull this off, I needed to implement an endless runner. And in order to implement the endless runner, I needed to take control of the physics involved. One of the biggest challenges with this was detecting collisions. When Nyx would hit the ground or hit a wall, very often if she was moving too fast, she would simply pass right through the wall. I also had to implement a form of bouncing, and this is part of why I wanted to take control of the physics calculations so that Nyx could bounce off of a surface and recoil and recover in a fairly fixed amount of time and in a fairly predictable way. The good news about all of this is that this evolved the Star Dropper concept. The Star Dropper is essentially a kind of simulacrum Nyx, a version of Nyx that goes out ahead of Nyx in this world and drops the stars. And the great thing about being able to inherit all the properties of Nyx into the Star Dropper is that when Nyx's properties would change, for example, she'd be able to jump higher or run faster, I could have the Star Dropper do the same. And as a result, stars that were being laid out ahead of Nyx to collect were sort of collectible. They weren't too long or too high or too steep. They were in keeping with her current physical state as well. Another big challenge with this was memory management. There could be up to 1,000 discrete entities in play at any one time, just within that slightly oversized frame. And so as a result, rather than instantiating and destroying hundreds of star objects and game tiles and decorators, instead using an object pooling mechanism was a big key to being able to simply deactivate and then recycle objects on request back into the environment, essentially stopping them when they reach the leftmost edge, keeping track of them, and then reinstantiating them at the rightmost edge to once again scroll across the screen, giving the illusion that Nyx was moving from left to right rather than the objects moving as they actually did from right to left. So this game is currently in beta. I'm very keen to get feedback. There are a lot of features still to implement, but I'm keen to test the core game mechanic and see if people find this as fun and exciting as I hope they will, to run the kind of roller coaster ride of flapping up and down to collect these stars. Huge thanks to HarvardX and to everyone that went to the trouble of making this course not only great, but publicly available and for free. It was really a dream come true, a childhood dream, to be able to create a video game at this level and to understand all of the internal mechanics of so many great games that have gone before that were the games of my youth. Thanks again. It's been an incredible learning adventure, and hopefully you will see Starcatcher Nyx coming to the Apple Store fairly soon.